Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Well, hey guys, and welcome into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I am your host tonight, Cassidy Wood. I'll be joined alongside the wonderful Suzie Cool here shortly. There she is. We're rocking our headwear like we did last night, guys. I hope everybody is having a very Merry Christmas. I know not the outcome Steelers fans wanted. You know, Suze and I, we were here just last night hyping up these guys. We really thought they'd go out there and they'd put on a strong fight against the Chiefs. I had high hopes. Curtis Jones was out this game. I thought that would, help Russ in this offense. George Pickens was back. I really thought we would see something going with this offense, but 10 points, Suze, 10 points.
Yeah, that's their lowest point total this season. Just not good. And going into the playoffs, we have to remember the Steelers have clinched a playoff spot. They have to beat the Bengals next week now.
Right.
We said this last night, though. They had to beat the Chiefs. They had to beat the Bengals to try and keep that top spot in the AFC North. Now that home field advantage is on the line, or is it even still there, right? So this is not the way that the Steelers are going to want to go into playoffs. So today was critical, but next week now has even more of an impact.
Yeah, especially because the Ravens beat the Texans tonight. So I mean, it really comes down to this final game, who's going to be the king of the AFC North. One thing I was very excited to see, though, Pat Freiermuth, he had two catches, was targeted twice in the same drive. They went on to score a touchdown at the end of that drive, their only touchdown of the entire game. But I was very excited to see that. Again, I just don't really understand why we're not using the middle of the field more, why we're not using the tight ends more. I feel like a broken record talking about this, but it was promising to see him finally out there a few times before halftime. But then, unfortunately, Darnell Washington with that big penalty. I mean, again, here we are. We heard Deshaun Elliott after the game say these are week 2 problems. We cannot be having these issues. And they had most of their defensive guys, too. And, Larry Ogunjobi had a pretty big play. Deshaun Elliott had some solid tackling, but there wasn't any turnovers, and that's the game that the Steelers typically win, is the turnover margin, the turnover game. They just didn't have that today.
But the defense still had, even with people being back in place as to where they should be today, not as many injuries, they still allowed over 30 points. They've done that the last 3 games. So what's happening with this defense now, too?
Yeah, I mean, they got cut up pretty bad in that secondary, I will say. I mean, a lot of blown coverages, especially in that second half. The wheels just started to fall off. Another thing, too, Russ was sacked 5 times today, and Pat Mahomes wasn't sacked a single time. And that's also a very glaring stat that you can look at and you're like, okay, what's the problem here? Because I don't think Russ is holding on to it too long. I think maybe the protection wasn't the best today, and he was getting beat up. I mean, 5 sacks for pretty big losses. It was not a fun sight to see out there. Just really disheartening for Christmas Day, a Christmas Day game. But hopefully, like you said, Suze, hopefully they can turn around in this final home game. Thank God it's home, to be honest, against the Bengals. I don't know if they go to Cincinnati for this final regular season game, if hopes will be very high. I mean, the Bengals have stuff to play for right now, too. They still have some playoff hopes, as crazy as that sounds. But, I mean, they've been, hot here late. I think they're starting to figure it out, so they're not giving up by any means. And I think it's going to be very, very interesting what happens in this final regular season game.
I do as well. I mean, especially with what we saw the Steelers do against the Bengals last time. It was a back and forth affair, and that really was that game to me this season that showed just how much offense this team, the Steelers team, can really produce, because that was the first time all season that they went back and forth with a team. So I don't know how it's going to go next weekend. However, hopefully they figure some things out before next Sunday.
Yeah, I will say too, like we have very high hopes for the Steelers offense. It was cool to see Russell Wilson get out there, have that big game against the Bengals, and have these big offensive showings. But at the end of the day, if you were in Acrisure today and you watched this game, or you watched it at home on Netflix or on our channel, whatever, if you watch this game, you're watching a Steelers offense, and then on the flip side, you watch this Chiefs offense, and you think to yourself for a second, oh, that's how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how easy it's supposed to be. And it's just such a different tier, a different level of offense. And I just, we thought we might have the pieces with George Pickens, bringing Arthur Smith in, bringing a vet like Russ in, but I don't know, something's still missing.
Yeah, and I think that has been the problem all year, because if you really look at every game, aside from that Bengals game, it's been squeaking out wins. And you got to give a lot of credit where credit is due. Chris Boswell, how many games has he won for this team this year?
Yeah.
And again, he can't be carrying this team on his back, right? So I'm not sure where that missing piece is. We thought it was George Pickens over the last 2 weeks, but clearly it's not.
Yeah, and there were some drop balls out there too, I will say. I mean, Jaylen Warren did have a drop ball. I'm pretty sure Mike Williams had a drop ball. So I don't know if it's just these little mistakes that are adding up to these losses, or if there is a big piece that they need to go out and get. I mean, we talked in the beginning of the season about needing a solid wide receiver too. Thought Mike Williams might be it. Maybe they still need to go receiver shopping. I don't know.
No, I think that's probably where they're missing the boat a little bit, because they haven't had that second option. I mean, they pick up Mike Williams. His first game in, he gets a touchdown, and we haven't really seen him targeted. So what is going on, and what's the plan here? It can't just always be George Pickens.
Yeah, I think the scariest part of all of it, though, is here we are. I mean, we have one more regular season game, and these are problems that you fix in the beginning of the season.
Yep.
This is your GMC Sierra tweet of the night. The Steelers have dropped their third straight. Started 10-3, now we're 0-3. And like I said, I mean, the craziest stat I think too is 4 out of the last 6 years they've dropped 3 in December. I mean, that's when you should be playing your best football, is in December. It's right before the playoffs. It's the end of the season. There's too much on the line. And for this to keep happening, it's just so crazy to me.
Cassidy, I'm so mad at myself, because on eBog, every blade of grass, we made preseason predictions.
Yeah.
And I remember I started off the year saying 11-6, and then I changed it midway through the season and said 12-5, and now I'm mad at myself. I'm mad. But that's where I'm at. That's where I'm sitting on that. You can't have that type of a start and then end your season like that. But what you said earlier about just the skids in December, I mean, what is going on with that, and why is it always at this point in the year, right before the most important time of the year?
Yeah, and the thing too is it's not the injuries. So, I mean, something is misfiring there. But we're going to hit some callers now. We got a few of them. John in Jeanette. John wants to talk some Steelers. What's going on? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What do you want to talk about, John?
I wondered about punting with 6:02 left. They probably weren't going to win, but there was an outside chance. There was enough time that they could have, and it was fourth and 2. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you there, John. I think when it comes to these late game situations, you just need to be aggressive, especially if you're down multiple scores. You have nothing to lose at that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's easy peasy. I just agree with him on that one. All right, Bill and Carrick. Bill, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing? Merry Christmas.
Good. How are you?
Christmas,
Merry
Bill.
Christmas.
Good. Hey, in the third quarter, when the Kansas City caught that catch, he was down on the ground and the ball came out. Why didn't Tomlin challenge that?
I know. Well, it's because Kansas City knew what to do, because they knew Pat Mahomes, they have a future Hall of Fame quarterback under center for them, and he knew that was not a catch. So what did they do? They hurried up the offense, snapped the next ball so that they didn't have time to challenge it. Now, I mean, I was talking to Pomp earlier. This is when replay should step in. That's why we have replay now, but for some reason that just didn't happen. They didn't do it quick enough. And hey, if they move on and snap the ball and they're on to the next play, you can't go back and challenge that play. You're already on to the next play. So, I mean, it was just a great job by Kansas City kind of covering that up. But, I mean, it was very clearly not a catch. But there were so many other things that went wrong in this game. Yes, the Chiefs have had a lot of breaks recently, but I wouldn't really put that wasn't a game-changing. I mean, it affected the momentum in the moment, but there were so many other things in that second half that affected it as well. All right, let's go to Dave in Export. Dave, what's going on?
Hi, girls. I'd like to tell you that I think you guys do a great job on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just got a couple things to say about the Steelers you might disagree with, but the
Okay.
Steelers stink. Their offensive line stinks. Their pass defense stinks. And I think Najee Harris and Arthur Smith need to go.
Wow.
You know what, Dave? Harsh comments, but Jaylen Warren ran very well today. I will say that.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. No comments on anything. No other comments on anything else. Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, Jaylen Warren
Yep.
did a great job today. I'll leave it at that. All right, Michael in Beaver Falls. Michael, what's going on? I think I know who this is.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, there he is. We could not have
Suzie
Christmas
Cool.
without him.
Exactly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Excellent. You girls really look festive. You look so cute.
Oh.
Thank
By
you.
the way, I'm going to tell it like it is, women. The officiating crew really followed up the momentum of the Steelers. They were going to have a really good chance to win. I know the offensive line was off, but we still have many opportunities to change the whole game. But these officials, they need to go back to officiating school, period.
All right, Michael, thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, in a lot of games, there's been iffy calls. There has been. I just do think in this one, it was all the Steelers. I mean, you can't win a game. At the end of the day, no matter how many points the Chiefs scored, you can't win a football game in the NFL scoring 10 points. It's almost impossible.
No, and you're not going to hold the Chiefs under that out of all teams.
Yeah.
If you're going to win a game with 10 points.
Yeah,
That's
the
just not going
number
to be
one
the
team
team you're
there
going to
is.
do it against.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, yeah, again, some officiating was off tonight or today, but I don't know. I think Russell Wilson got sacked 5 times. That can't happen. That just can't happen. All right, Kevin in Glassport. Kevin, what's going on?
Yeah, Tallman. He didn't call timeout at halftime. We could have went down and scored. And the same thing in the second half. He punted when it was 4th and 12. I mean, he threw the ball when it was 4th and 12. Went for it. And then when it was 4th and 3 or 4th and 2.
4th and 2, yeah.
I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, like we said a little bit earlier, I don't really understand. If you're down multiple scores that late in game, at that point, you just have nothing to lose. I mean, that's really all there is to say about that. All right, Mike in Indiana. Mike, what's going on? Indiana, that's far.
Hey, I was just seeing what you guys thought on. I know there's a lot of people out there that's going to appreciate this question. We need to have a year that's 8-8-1. Wanted to get your thoughts.
Honestly, I mean, the narrative has been for a very long time now that Tomlin has never had a losing record. A lot of people hang their hat on that. A lot of fans are very upset with that, though. They want bigger, they want deeper. First of all, they want to win a playoff game. That hasn't happened in a very long time. And I think maybe if Tomlin does finish 500, maybe that'll change the course. I'm just so iffy on the Mike Tomlin. Is he out? Does he stay? Situation. What about you, Suzie?
I mean, I think he's proved why he is a good coach here. Right. I don't think that he's necessarily out just because, you know, he has seasons where they make playoff games and they don't win, right? He's proven that he is a Super Bowl winner. However, I do think maybe if there is a season that comes up where it is, you know, even at 500 or whatever it may be, maybe just a little bit over, then maybe it does open some eyes like, hey, we need to get things together and we need to get the right pieces in place here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I will say, though, when they were 10-3, people were saying Mike Tomlin, Coach of the Year. So, you know, I mean, that's just how it goes.
That's just how, yep.
Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope everyone is having a wonderful night with their loved ones, even though, unfortunately, the Steelers did lose today, 29-10. Bad loss, Suze. Just such a bad loss, and just really hoping they can turn this around. We do still have people calling in, though, so we'll just go straight to them. Greg and Butler. Greg, what's going on?
Hey, Merry Christmas, ladies. Just wanted to point out, you guys were talking about the offense and how good they looked, you know, a few weeks ago, but you got to look who they were playing against. That was Cincinnati, who pretty much has a college defense.
Yeah, I think we lost him there. But I do agree with them. They had a gauntlet of a schedule this year. I think in the preseason, I know people have differing opinions in strength of schedule and all of that, but they were rated at the beginning of the season with one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. So I mean, it's going to be tough down here in this stretch. They had all those divisional games. These last 3 have been difficult, and now they ended against the Bengals. But like I said, hopefully they can pull out a win. You said the Bengals have a college defense.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If they have a college defense, then this last game for the Steelers should be easy at Acrisure next week. Hopefully they can just pull out that win, go into the playoffs, on a high note at least, make up for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Weird game, though, in Houston tonight, that's for sure. I think the Ravens and Steelers are going to be duking this out till the very end. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight on and I hope you're having a very Merry Christmas, and we will see you back here tomorrow night.